Welcome to the Empowerment Zone, brought to you by South Dade NAACP, where we share trustworthy information, uplift local voices, and connect you to the resources and pathways that support thriving, one conversation, one connection, and one action at a time. It is where South Miami-Dade listens, learns, and leads.
Hello and welcome to our next edition of the Empowerment Zone. And my name is Harold Ford. I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest, representative of the state of Florida, and one who's going around and making a whole lot of noise to make a difference. Welcome, Representative Angie Nixon, to our show.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here with you all today.
And thank you. But first and foremost, as we get ready to get started, I want you to introduce yourself to the family. Who is Angela or Angie Nixon?
Yeah, I like to go by Angie. So I am a lifelong Floridian, born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm the daughter of an Army veteran. I am a wife, a mother of 5. Me and my husband have a blended family.
Okay.
And I have been a community organizer, a union organizer. Ron DeSantis banned books. I opened up a banned bookstore. And I've had the honor and privilege to serve as a state lawmaker for the past 6 years in one of the most hostile work environments, which is the Florida Legislature. And while there, I've been able to get policies across the finish line, working to expand access to early childhood education in low income and working class communities. I've also been able to stop price gouging from happening. Previously, before I became a state rep, I actually was also instrumental. I was a statewide organizer working on the Fight for 15, in which we were able to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's set to hit 15 by September of this year. I also worked on Amendment 4, automatic rights restoration. And I'm just really rooted in community here in the state of Florida. And I decided to run for United States Senate because I believe that the government should work for everyone. And right now, that is not the case. We have folks in Washington like Ashley Moody who are more concerned with their campaign donors and their billionaire friends and families than they are with actually lowering the cost and ensuring people can just afford to be alive here in this state. And so I am fighting for everyday people because we need to send people to Washington, D.C. with a backbone.
Okay, and you kind of got into my part of my first question, which was what motivated you to run for U.S. Senate, but also we want to know, why do you believe this is the right moment for your campaign and for Florida?
This is the right moment for the campaign and for Florida because it's just the right moment to send bold leaders to DC because we're boldly being attacked right now.
Amen.
And we can't continue to send people who are only going to send strongly worded emails or only make great speeches, right? Like we need folks who are willing to get loud and push back and just say no. They are literally violating the law. Donald Trump has called for the assassination of sitting Congress members. He's threatened Supreme Court justices, and we can't send status quo, quiet, timid leadership to DC. I'm the only candidate in this race, in the primary and the general, that has been willing to push back against Trump 24/7, 365 days a year, not just one moment a few years ago. I've been fighting against him and the Republicans' attacks on our communities for nearly 2 decades.
Amen. Amen. Seems like you're not looking for likes and clicks. You're throwing stones and bricks. I see you. I see you.
I'm gonna have to use that.
But you often speak about Florida's affordability crisis. And what are the first 3 actions you would take in the Senate to help working families struggling with housing, insurance, childcare, and everyday costs?
Number 1, medical debt is a leading cause of bankruptcy. There are literally people going bankrupt because they're trying to stay alive. And I would, number 1, file legislation to extend the ACA subsidies, which Ashley Moody voted against. And help drive down those premium costs for health insurance, because when she voted to end the ACA subsidies, nearly over 200,000 people fell off the healthcare rolls here in our state of Florida. And it also drove up private insurance premiums. And so
Wow.
wanting to do that and then making a hardcore push towards Medicare for all. Also, we need to take control of the purse strings again as United States senators and Congress people. They allowed Donald Trump to circumvent and usurp power
Mm-hmm.
and implement those tariffs, which basically are just working family taxes. And so we need to repeal those, right? And making
Mm-hmm.
sure that the cost of groceries and things like that go down. And it would also actually help more folks get employed again, because after the tariffs were enacted, warehousing and transportation jobs were lost, particularly within the Black community. That
Mm-hmm.
contributed to the nearly 800,000 Black Black Americans that lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to we need to freeze the rent right now. We should not allow any increases in rent at this time, or at least to go above 10%. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason for that is because here in the state of Florida, we are 18% over the national average for
That's right.
renters, and
Mm.
over 300% the national average for property insurance, which is one of
Wow.
the reasons why I feel like we need to have federal, state, and local, um, just like locally working together as far as the government, so that we can really push the state to fully fund a public option for insurance. Because why are we allowing insurance companies to make money off denying our claims, and instead of allowing that money, the profits, to go to a shareholder based off like the
Mm-hmm.
premiums and things like that, that money can go towards like a catastrophe fund in case we need to tap into it if there was a huge natural disaster.
Amen. Amen. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Former community organizer and current state representative, how have those experiences shaped your approach to public service and advocacy?
For sure. So I consider myself still a community organizer, working actively in the community, and that's how I approach lawmaking. I make sure that I go and talk to people, and that hardworking everyday folks get to inform the type of laws that I craft, the legislation that I
Mm-hmm.
craft. I believe that hardworking everyday people should get to shape what their communities look like and what their economies look like. And right
Mm-hmm.
now, that's not the case. The people that are shaping what our communities and economies look like are the billionaire class and these corrupt corporation executives. And they
Mm-hmm.
are the ones who are padding the campaign coffers of the Ashley Moody's, of the Donald Trumps, and they're determining the trajectory of our country. They're the
Right.
reason why Ashley Moody voted against extending the ACA subsidies, because it made these health insurance companies richer, right? Our
Mm-hmm.
premiums were jacked up and things like that. And if we really want to see transformative change here in our state and in our country, we have to elect more everyday people, like your
Mm-hmm.
construction workers, your school bus drivers, your nurses, your teachers, your custodians, your fast food restaurant workers, your professors, all of those types of folks, not just this billionaire class, not just these attorneys who work for
Mm-hmm.
these insurance companies. I'm literally speaking from experience. The
Right.
man in the state senate, who was a state rep at the time, he served with me, Senator Leak. He actually crafted legislation around insurance, but it only benefited the insurance companies, and that's because he was their general counsel. And so it's like we need to
Conflicts of
put
interest.
people right. We need to put people in office who care about people and who work with people, and then we will see more people focused legislation.
Amen. Amen. I agree 100%. Now, the NAACP has long fought to protect voting rights. What federal actions would you support to expand voter access and strengthen confidence in our elections?
Oh yeah. So I got in a lot of good trouble, necessary trouble, in the words of our late great Congressman John Lewis,
John
who was
Lewis.
also a community organizer
Yes.
and the leader of SNCC, right? And
Hmm.
so I fully support the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And so I
Hmm.
would definitely sign on to that. I believe we need to have, same day voting registration, same day registration. I believe it's disingenuous to say that we're a democracy when people try to make it harder for us to vote.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
literally was arrested because I wanted to have a conversation with Ron DeSantis after he decided to pass illegal and unconstitutional legislation that drew maps that not allow
Hmm.
that didn't allow for people to choose their representatives but allow
Right.
for politicians to choose their voters. And so
Gotcha.
I'm nothing short of consistent in my advocacy for voting rights.
Amen. And I just let's also add making Election Day actually a national holiday.
Yeah, that
People
would
to
be
take off from work.
amazing. Yes, take off for
So,
work to go vote. Yeah, a lot of people
exactly.
are so busy and we need to make it a holiday. You are exactly right.
Yes, yes. So now many South Florida residents are concerned about affordable housing and displacement. What policies do you believe can help people remain in the communities they have helped build?
Yeah, so number one, we need to make sure that Senator Warnock passed legislation in regards to private equity firms, but it didn't go far enough for me. I
Hmm.
don't believe private equity firms should be able to own homes, period. So there needs to be like a total ban on them purchasing homes, period,
Agreed.
single family homes. Senator Warnock passed legislation they can still purchase, but not after so many. And so I say they can't purchase at all.
At all. Right.
Um, and I believe we need to put a cap on how many homes that investors can purchase.
Hmm.
Like single families
Correct.
should have access to purchase single family homes, not just
Right.
investors, not just private equity firms. And so that's what I would push. Also, again, I stated earlier, right now, just putting a moratorium on, I would say, evictions for about a year right now, especially as all these rising costs and everything, but also
Hmm.
capping rent stabilization would be something critical that is needed. And then I am proof positive of what happens when you invest in good policies when government does it right. I was a
Hmm.
single mom for 12 years and did everything right. Got a good job. I mean, got a job, graduated from college. Though my
Hmm.
job, I was working for the state of Florida. I was only getting paid like $28,000 a year. I worked for a state representative at the time. And
Okay.
they just actually increased their salary to like around 36, which still isn't any better. And this was around 2009. And so I was able to, because of community development block grants that started at the federal level, that trickled down to the state level, that trickled down to the local level, I was able to uh, go into a first time home buyer program and get down
Mm.
payment assistance and closing cost
Okay. Okay.
be through the federal government. That program was cut. Some the funding was cut. A lot of the funding was cut when Trump passed his big BS bill. Like we got to say, it's BS. It's not. Mr. Ford is not beautiful. It
I
is a
agree.
big BS bill. And
I
when he
agree.
passed that bill, he cut a lot of those programs. And
Gotcha.
I like that's generational wealth that I was able to build for my daughter
Hmm.
after, even being a single mom with a
Hmm.
job that wasn't necessarily good paying, but it was a job that I got after college. And so we
Exactly.
need more programs like that. And we need to start really working to invest in small business owners, and not these big businesses. I believe there needs to be more access to capital, more
Hmm.
access to zero interest loans, right? The
Hmm.
small business development centers, the SBAs and everything, they need to be more aggressive about going into Black communities, Latino communities, low income communities, and helping people out. Oftentimes we start businesses out of desperation and need, and we don't start it correctly.
Hmm.
We don't put
That's
everything we
correct.
need in place. We don't have a tax preparer or accountant the way in which we should. We did not like
Correct. Correct.
we didn't do it the right way. And I'm
Right.
speaking from existence, being a business owner. Like I was like I need to go on my own, and like even my husband. And so now we are like we have everything the right way. But it's like a
Right.
lot of people get caught up and tied up, and then that causes them to not be able to gain access to capital from some of these banks and that type of stuff. So we need more education, but we also need more access to funding. And I would also say like um we need to make sure that these federal contracts, there are minority set asides. And so that means repealing a lot of the anti-DEI policies that Donald Trump passed that actually originated here in
Mm.
Florida, because we are ground zero and the petri dish for bad legislation and policies.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's what I would say we need to do for sure.
Amen. Amen. And see, even when we're talking about affordable housing, I've been actually encouraging our elected officials to consider the affordable home ownership piece of that. Because
Mhm.
again, if we don't own, we don't have that foundation to build
That
generational wealth.
part. That
And so,
part.
definitely encouraging, us to do what we can to get policies in place to make sure the banks are willing to look at things a little differently.
Exactly. We
Because,
also, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
because again, we're still dealing with the issues of redlining. We're still dealing with some of the other
Yes.
issues that are, and again, that's federal
Yep.
law that
Yep.
needs to be repealed so that we can make sure the banks aren't following those necessary guidelines or directions.
Exactly. We also need more public housing, but it needs to be massively reformed. They do dog and pony shows. I've did some organizing in some
Mm-hmm.
public housing units, and when the Secretary of HUD comes out, like they only take them to the cleanest
Mm-hmm.
units and that type of stuff. There needs to be some active like teeth behind enforcement
Mm-hmm.
when they violate policies, and when they not keeping when they're not keeping the apartment buildings up. And I'm talking about the landlords, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's been cases of rats and mold and that type of stuff. You don't need our money. If you don't do right by us, then you're not going to get paid. And so they need to make sure that they are renovating these apartments as though they're market rate,
Right.
and as though people um they just treat people who are on government assistance. They don't treat them with respect and dignity that they deserve. And everyone's one emergency away from
Exactly.
needing assistance. And so we need to make sure these folks are treated with dignity and respect.
Amen. Amen. Now, you have been an outspoken individual on issues of racial equality and equity, as well as representation. And what do you see as the biggest civil rights challenges facing Black Floridians today?
That is a really good question. I would say the biggest civil rights challenge is, I mean, it all stems back to, I mean, it's everything. But it stems back
It's a
to
lot.
like, it all stems back to money. It's the dollar bill, right? And again, we had nearly 800,000 Black people lose their jobs under Donald
Mm,
Trump. And that's because of
wow.
these anti DEI policies. And these anti DEI policies are basically allowing companies to discriminate against us. People are more likely now to get away with housing discrimination, hiring discrimination,
Hmm.
and all the things. And like that's one of the main issues that we're seeing. And then I think it's also important to highlight that the weaponization of ICE is a problem.
Mm, mm,
And I've been seeing videos of what's going on in Miami-Dade, where they are policing highly, you know, highly populated Haitian communities
Mm-hmm.
and profiling people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're Black. They gonna profile us too. They can't
Sooner or later.
tell the difference between a a an African American or, you know, a Black American that is a descendant of slaves here in this country, or someone from Jamaica or Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are going to racially profile us, and they are going to escalate things, and they are going to shoot and kill us, and they are going to get away with it unless we send people like me to Washington D.C. who are going to scrutinize and
Mm-hmm.
launch investigations to go after bad actors, to arrest them and to put them in jail, and to call for an end and an abolishment of ICE. We don't need ICE.
That's right.
ICE came about after the towers went down, after
Correct.
September 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And it came about to evoke fear and to target and to profile the Muslim community. It is now
Mm-hmm.
morphed into this agency that goes after immigrants, that
Right.
demonizes immigrants. And Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis said that they were only going after the criminals, the criminal immigrants. And they've been
Correct.
going after people that work at their workplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
At construction
Yeah.
sites,
Showing to their
healthcare,
court date.
and yeah, and restaurants and hotels where people are working and where some people are documented. A lot of the folks are documented.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to know that this is not even about mass deportation. This is about mass detention because it's profitable. Like
Yes. Yes.
it costs several $1,000s a day to house immigrants in
Mm-hmm.
detention centers. And a lot of these vendors get these no bid contracts that deal with these detention centers. We saw it down in Alligator, Alcatraz. They spent over $214 billion on porta potties. Mr. Ford, that's a whole lot of porta potties.
Yes.
214 million, that's a whole lot of
Yes.
okay? And
I hear you.
so we need to end these for-profit like detention centers. We also need to end these for-profit prisons
I agree.
because, why would they educate our children when they make more money off of them going to jail? And so it's like it's a thread. It's all about money for them. And so that's why I'm running, Mr. Ford.
All right, all right. Well, I see you all over social media on your Instagram, Facebook, and all these other places and spaces. But and I think you're tapping into our younger voters, which is a good sign. And young voters are increasingly engaged, but often feel disconnected from politics.
Hmm.
What message do you have for young Floridians and how they become more involved in shaping policy?
Yeah. So I would say for people who feel as though um they don't do politics. Politics is doing us. It's doing us at the pumps. It's the gas pumps is doing us at the grocery store. It's
Hello,
doing us. It's doing us on those clothes that you want to buy
everywhere.
from Fashion Nova or Shein or whatever, because they are now more expensive due to these tariffs that Donald Trump put on. And like the average age for people to purchase their first home now is
Mm,
42. It's 42.
mm,
I'm 42. I got my first home when I was 29 due to the government doing it right and helping me out.
right.
And I don't want my 5 kids to live with me until I'm 42. And I'm sure the young people don't want to live with their parents or live with a bunch of roommates until they're 42.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
they need to get involved and get loud. When First Lady Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high, I'm saying when they go low, we get loud and we push back against disinformation
That's right.
that is negatively impacting our communities. We also need to join organizations like the NAACP, right? Like the Dream Defenders, like the Florida Risings, all these groups that are on the ground, Faith in Florida, that are doing the work, Florida Immigrant Coalition, that are doing the work. And we have to organize. The only way we're going to get out of this mess is by leaning into community
Hmm.
and organizing and voting for people who come out of our communities, who care about our communities. And MAGA is not this big group of people.
No.
They are the loudest.
Yes, they are.
And because they're so loud and so boisterous, people are fearful because it seems like it's so many of them.
Hmm.
But it's not. It's more of us than it is of them. And so in this moment, this civil rights moment, silence is complicity.
That's right. That's
And
right.
so we have to get loud. We have to push back. We have to organize harder and stronger. We have to meet people where they are. If that's under a tree where they chilling out, playing dominoes or spades, right? We have to go and talk to them about how their lives are being impacted in a negative manner by who's in office or who's not in office, right?
Hmm.
We have to go to the low income housing unit. We have to go to the Sunday brunches, right? The R&B nights and all the things, even the
Spoken
strip
word.
clubs, Mr. Ford,
Hey,
wherever, the churches everywhere, to talk to people about the
yes,
importance of these elections, but also not just voting for people, but holding them accountable year round.
that part.
We have to continue to be active and engaged and keep our foot on their necks so they do right by us. And
Amen.
that's why we need them to get involved and how they can get involved.
All right. All right. I love it. And if you could leave Florida voters with one message about the future you want to build, what would the message
Yes.
be? And how would success look at the end of your first Senate term?
So the type of Florida that I want, the type of America that I want is one that is diverse. It's a multiracial working class
Mhm.
with folks from the community that are elected individuals. It is a country where everyone has the opportunity and is experiencing safety, being prosperous, being
Mhm.
healthy, experiencing rest and joy, where every family has stability, every worker has dignity, every worker that includes janitors,
Mhm.
fast food workers, construction workers, where they have dignity, and every young person has the opportunity to reach the true American dream. Um, and it can happen, but we just have to really get involved. And I would ask for folks to like lean into our campaign. It's a people power campaign. Our average donation is less than $30. And that means that the school bus drivers and the janitors and the nurses and the teachers are the ones that are donating to our campaign. I would ask folks to join us to knock on doors and to make phone calls. But like, this is our country.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
we should decide what we want it to be like. This is our country. We should be able to dream big like we used to when we were young
Mhm.
kids, when we thought and imagined like how our lives would be. And then we got into the real world and we start living in the dreams of the billionaire class. But
Mm.
it's more of us than it is of them. And
That's right.
so they should be living in our dreams. Because right
Right.
now we're living in their dreams and it's a nightmare for many of us.
That's right.
But if we all organize and we get involved and we start electing people who really care and show up, then we can change this country and we can build a Florida and an America for all.
Amen. Well, Representative Nixon, we do thank you for your time. We thank you for your talents. And we thank you for doing the work that you do.
For
If
sure.
there's any, if you want to leave, I guess, how people can contact you if they're
Yeah.
interested in supporting you as part of your closing.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you, Mr. Ford and the South Dade NAACP for having me today. I am asking folks, humbly asking you all for your vote. I really would appreciate your vote. I would love for you all to make sure that you are texting and calling everyone you know in the state of Florida and asking that they vote for me. I would also love for you all to join my People Power campaign at angienixon.com. We need volunteers. We need people to make donations. Mr. Harold, Mr. Ford, you have a nice suit on, so go ahead and drop some coins at that link at angienixon.com. But also follow me on social media, y'all, at Angie for FL, Angie for Florida. Y'all, we can do this. We can change the trajectory of this country and this state, but we need to make sure that we are electing people like me. And I want to be clear. Status quo, quiet, timid leadership is not going to be Ashley Moody. I don't care how much money they have. This is not about money. This is about people. And it's not about whether or not I can win. It's about whether or not you're ready to win and you're ready to build a Florida for all. So thank you all for having me.
Amen. Thank you for joining us, and you have a blessed rest of your day. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the Empowerment Zone, brought to you by South Dade NAACP, where information becomes action, voices become movements, and community becomes change. We hope today's conversation inspired you to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay empowered. Remember, our voices are strongest when they are heard at the ballot box. Voting and voter registration are powerful tools that help shape our schools, neighborhoods, leadership, and future. Encourage someone to register, make a plan to vote, and continue doing your part to strengthen our community. And don't forget to email your feedback, thoughts, and/or suggestions for topics that you want to hear about to podcast@southdade.naacp.org. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep leading, because together we are building a stronger South Miami-Dade, one conversation at a time.